Hey y'all, just a quick reminder that my book is now on sale. And if you want a free Oracle card reading from my new deck coming out next year, the Shadow Animal Oracle, go ahead and place your pre order. Send me proof of purchase to my email, crow@ladycrow.net, and get your reading a couple of weeks from Halloween, the publishing date of next week. So get your pre order in if you want your reading. Hey y'all. So, in my new book that's coming out next week on Halloween, I tell a few personal stories about times in my life where my shadow acted autonomously, where I was not in control, the shadow's in the driver's seat, and there are all times where I look back and I just go, "Oh, yikes!" There's some real cringe moments in there. So, I thought we'd have a little bit of story time today, where I talk about one of those instances a little bit more in depth. So some years ago, I was part of a priestess training program. I can't say where it was or what it was called. It's very mysterious because I actually agreed not to, a little bit like Fight Club in that way, oddly. Um, but let's just say that it took place here in England, in a part of England that is very well known by name for its mystical reputation. I'll say that. So we met every time the wheel turned. So our first meeting ever was Samhain, Halloween. And it's the first day. And we come back from lunch into the meeting room. And there's this big black curtain, sectioning off most of the room. And we're told that we are going to have a rebirthing ceremony in which we are birthed or rebirthed into the tradition in which we were joining. And that all of us, with our bodies, were going to create a birthing tunnel through which, one at a time, we would each go through to the other side. And we were instructed that as each person went through the birthing tunnel, that we were to say things such as, "I'm so glad you're being born," "Happy birthday," "Thank you for choosing me as your mom." And I'm sitting there and I'm taking this in kind of in disbelief. Like, are they serious? Like, is this really happening right now? Like, I've just had my lunch. Like, well, what's happening? And they start to do it. And one by one, we're forming this birthing tunnel and each person's going through. And I start to see that it's going to be my turn. And my heart just starts, goes so fast, starts escalating. I absolutely panicked. Had a complete breakdown. I started crying. I was sweating. I told the moderator, I said, "I'm not going through the birthing tunnel. I'm not going." And she was like, Say what now? You're not going to go through the tunnel?" I said, "I am not going through that tunnel." And I was crying. I was upset. And the facilitator had to take me to the side and, kind of rub me on the back, which was just, I died inside. Like, because there was this part of me that was like able to observe this. So it was very experiential. There's part of me was observing this, just going like, this is super embarrassing. Like, this is the first impression I am making to a group of strangers that, I'm meant to spend the next year with. Like, this is a terrible first impression. This is not something that I identify with. It's like, as a human being, like not being in control of my faculties and being, emotionally out of control. Like, I'm like, who is this person? I ended up going through the birth tunnel because I thought I would never live it down. I'd never live with myself. I just thought, just go through the birth tunnel. It's not going to kill you. It's just a row of people. So I go through the birth tunnel and everyone's saying all of these things. It was awful and terrible. And I get through to the other side. And because the universe has a very wicked sense of humor, there is a person dressed as a life-size crow. Only like from like the bubonic plague era. So they had like the mask with like the big nose and like the black cloak and the hood. Only it was like a crow mask. And they offered me a goblet and said that in order to join the tradition, I'd just been born and to have my first drink as like a priestess in training. I had a sip. Okay, I think it was apple cider with cinnamon. It's quite nice. And and I walk away and I go and I go outside and everyone's sitting around a fire and, we have sit around the fire, talk about everything that happened and process together. Everyone was saying how fabulous it was. And I was sitting there thinking like, that should have been an innocuous thing. Like, I could have laughed on the inside. I could have just like been like, this is nuts, but gone along with it. But I couldn't participate because my unhealed inner child, who was not celebrated when she was born, had a complete breakdown. And so, thus, shadow work exists, right? If you want to hear more about this story, read my book that's out next week. There are plenty more like this one. So go ahead and get your copy.